Welcome back to another edition of the Washington Nationals here on OOTP 27. And as you can see, we are here at the beginning of the season. It's only April 1st. We're just doing a little bit of a check-in here simply because I started the recording and this pops up that I just think is very interesting. So Connor Prelip, we all know him. We picked him up in a trade towards the beginning. It might have even been the first season of this. When exactly was it? Yeah, 2026 deadline. We picked him up along with Billy Amick and Kalai Rosario for Luis Garcia Jr. from the Minnesota Twins. And he was by far the most useful player out of that bunch. Never really quite lived up to his expectations. We ended up... Did we trade him or did we just get rid of him? Yeah, we traded him in exchange for George Kirby when he was like a not good George Kirby anymore. And he went to the Yankees for a year, was dreadful. And then last year, spent all season on our AAA team in Rochester, did pretty well. And now, at 33 years old, he is getting a velocity bump. He now throws 96 to 98. Okay, sure. And his current and potential stuff also improved. So he's got 55 stuff. And he's got like a 96 to 98 mile an hour fastball all of a sudden. And he's a lefty here. So, lefty was one thing that we opened up some spots with in the offseason. He's currently not in the 40-man here, but at some point in the season, if we need a lefty in the bullpen, he might be an option for us. Folks, it's only 4 starts, but we are through the month of April here. It's May 1st. We're sitting 20-8 on the season. Things are looking great. Jerry Harris might be on track to actually have his first two-way season of dominance here. Now, like I said, it's only 4 starts. It's only a month of starts and a month of hitting, but it's a small sample size. But he's got a 2 WAR at the plate with a 212 WRC plus 11 home runs, just continuing his dominance from the postseason last year. He's walking more than he's striking out. He's got a 4-digit OPS, and on the bump, he's got 4 starts with a 390 ERA plus and a 63 FIP minus. That's a 105 ERA and a 264 FIP. Really solid stuff. A .4 home run per 9. A crazy low BABIP, which is obviously not going to hold forever. But right now, things going super well for Jerry Harris. What's his next start look like, folks? Well, it's an 11-1 victory over the New York Mets. 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 8 Ks for Jerry Huge Harris doing the goddamn thing and hitting his 13th home run of the season in the same game. Alrighty, folks, we have reached July 11th, so that means it is time to go over how our team has done here in the first half of the season before doing the first-year player draft. It is about 8 billion degrees outside, and my allergies are cranked to the absolute max, but we're going to power through and do this anyways. As you can see, we are 61-31 here on the season so far, which is first place in the National League East. If you take a look at the expanded standings, we have a very, very solid plus 151 run differential, as our team is just all around the best. I mean, look at the West here. Jesus Christ, just a bunch of stinky poo-poo nothing going on over there in the NL West, and then here in the East, it's us. The Mets having a really good season as well, but not as good as us with the plus 151 run differential. That is the best run differential in Major League Baseball. The second best is the Chicago White Sox in the Central Division. The Orioles still very much a solid team, but not quite as good, at least run differential-wise, as us and the White Sox. So let's take a look at actually the team stats here for our Nationals. So on the hitting side of things, you can see lots of ones going on here. First an OBP, slugging, OPS, WAR, WOBA, runs scored, home runs, walks, and then, top 5-ish and stuff like batting average, hits, extra base hits is second, third, and least amount of strikeouts. And then we actually have some really good base running, 4th in that category, but we're not stealing a ton of bags, which tends to be how the base running stat works in this game. If you're not running into a ton of outs with stealing bases a ton, you're probably base running at a positive rate. And then on the pitching and defense side of things, it's pretty much what you would expect. The best ERA in the National League, the best starters, the second best bullpen, which is not what you would expect. You usually expect that to be first, but we have had some weird bullpen stuff this year. It hasn't been as good as previous years. So it might be something we look to address here at the deadline when we get to that point. But first and runs allowed, comboed with the first and runs scored, first in WAR, first in hits allowed, opponent's average, BABIP, second in home runs allowed and base on balls, and then fourth in strikeouts, the best defensive efficiency, the fifth best zone rating, and then we're tied in ninth in errors. So committing a decent amount of errors, but whatever, the defense is still getting it done, the pitching is still doing its thing, as we're 61 wins here, which is the most in Major League Baseball, here on July 11th. One thing I should mention is that Dax Hardcastle, unfortunately, is currently on the IL with a sore elbow. He's been having a really good season through 15 starts. He has 2 wins, 124 ERA plus, an 80 FIP minus. That is a 3.29 ERA and a 3.31 FIP. So he's just continuing to be very good for us, but right now, unfortunately, going to miss a little over a month here. He's already missed about a week on the IL, and he still has 4 weeks left, and then plus he'll probably have a rehab assignment after that. And then another thing I should mention is that Isaac Leone, unfortunately, did not do well for us in the big leagues this season through 9 starts. Just wasn't really getting it done to the point where I was feeling comfortable with him in the big leagues. You could see his percentile rankings here, not great aside from the walk percentage. So I was just like, let's just send this guy down, let him work on his shit down in AAA. If we need him at some point, we can call him back up. But as you can also see, his control is now down to 55. It is no longer the 60 it once was. So that's definitely going to limit his ability to be as effective as he was previously. It's the Shane Rodemaker dilemma where once you drop below that 60 to 55, you're definitely going to need a bit more stuff to really be effective. But we have had some guys with successful 55s because the 50 to 55 jump is still big, but the 55 to 60 jump is pretty significant as well. Another one I should mention is Kevin Yoder, who unfortunately is not in the big leagues for us right now. Just was not really getting it done, walking way too many people to be truly effective. I mean, that's a 1 percentile walk rate along with a 97th percentile strikeout rate. So, not quite as good as you would expect that strikeout rate to be because it's only a 15.2 K minus walk, which is, not the worst, but also it's not as good as it could be with him. I'm sure he'll be back at some point in the big leagues, but for now, he is in AAA just trying to get right, I guess. But, 80 grade stuff is definitely tough to ignore and keep that in AAA, especially with the 40 stamina as well. And, it makes it even worse when you're walking that many guys and you can't hold runners at all. So definitely not the most ideal thing going for Kevin Yoder. But then taking a look at the big league staff right now, sorting by innings pitched, the number 1 guy on that category is Tarek Skubal, who has been having a fantastic season for us yet again. He's already basically pitched as much as he did in the regular season last year, where he was plagued by a, what exactly was it? It was a herniated disc that he had last year for us. This year he's had some back stiffness, but he was able to just do a two-day injury. He's been fine, 16 starts, 86 in the 3rd innings. He's got 3 wins, even better ERA and FIP than he did last season. Or I guess the FIP is actually about the same, but 60 FIP minus as opposed to a 62 last year in the starts that he had. But still, lots of blue in the percentile rankings, really good numbers across the board. He's doing his thing at 37, almost 38 years old. And we have him for potentially 1 more season. And if he keeps pitching like this, probably going to be accepting that because this is going to line up with a lot of our guys who after 2035, the team's probably going to look a lot different heading into 2036. And then number 2 on the innings pitch leaderboard is actually Eric Kleeman. He's got 84 innings for us this season. He's been quite solid. His first stint, not really first stint, but first from the get-go, real chance to be like a dude for us in the rotation. And he's about what you would expect. He's not going to strike out guys. He's not going to pump up the velocity. He's not going to get swing and misses, but he's going to limit walks at an elite rate. He's going to work soft contact, keep the ball in the park, and he's doing that so far. Sub-1 home run rate, 3% walk rate, really solid stuff. Keep it up for Eric Kleeman. Alex Rouse has been solid enough for us this season. He's pretty solid. Nothing too crazy, but, doing his thing with the 3 fastballs. Miguel Sime in a stopper role has been pretty solid in that role. Really solid FIP minus, 81 FIP minus. Some of this stuff is kind of discouraging. The walk rate is not great, but he has a 40 control, so you can't expect that to be great. But he is, striking at a decent amount of guys, still throwing pretty hard, doing his thing. And then we have Jerry Harris, who, like I said earlier, not quite the same rate he was earlier, but through 11 starts here in the big leagues, he has been really, really good, which has been by far his best MLB season so far in the rotation. I guess he was pretty good in 2032 in the rotation, but definitely didn't pitch the whole year. And we would like to see him pitch a ton this season, so hopefully that can keep going along with the rate that he's hitting with, as you can see here. He's 5 away from his career high in home runs, and it is July 11th. He is scorching the ball offensively while pitching very well for us, on pace to potentially be the MVP this season if he continues to play both ways at this rate. And then we take a look at Edwin Alcia, who unfortunately isn't really getting it done very well in the stopper role as the lefty. We've had some real trouble with the lefties here ever since getting rid of Wellington Herrera. Robinson Ortiz has taken a step back. Alcia has not taken the step forward that we would have liked to see in a more high leverage role. Remember last year he was in like a middle relief, long relief role. This year, more of a high leverage role, not doing as hot. The strikeout rate is up, the walk rate is down, but he's giving up way more home runs for some reason. So I don't really know what's going on there. But hopefully he'll be able to figure it out as the season goes on. And then we also have Josh Yorkin up in the big leagues here. He's up to a 45 overall. His ratings still don't look anything near to what they could be, but he's pitching well enough to where he's the 6th guy in the rotation right now. 80's great stamina. He's going to be in there eating innings for us, and that's definitely a valuable player to have right now. And we're going to hope that he can potentially fill in some of these potential ratings as he pitches through this season, but probably not. We're just going to keep pitching him until it really starts falling off the rails here. And then at that point, we'll probably look to bring up somebody else. Taking a look at the rest of the staff here, Jose Rodriguez, he's been solid in his return from partially torn UCL that he had double setbacks on. Eric Agro has been phenomenal for us. He's doing his thing where he's got a really good ERA. A lot of these underlying stuff, not great. He's even walking a decent amount of guys, considering he has 60 control. But he's still getting the job done right now, so hopefully he can settle in with the walk rate. This other stuff you can't ever expect to be good with him, but ERA, hard hit percentage, limiting hard contact, what else can you expect from him? Bobby Matamoros doing his thing at the back end. He's got a 1.3 wins above replacement, a 46 fit minus, and he's got 20 saves, 1 hold, and 17 shutdowns here in 2034. Then Mateo Reyes, he's been solid when he was healthy. He did have a little bit of an injury, he had a rotator cuff strain, and then also mild shoulder inflammation. So his shoulder, not too hot at some point, but he is fine now. Good to see, as he is pitching well when he's in there. And then we have Robinson Ortiz, who, as I mentioned, the FIP is actually not looking too bad for him, but the ERA is not the best. And this is after I moved him out of a setup role. He definitely was not getting it done in the setup. The FIP was it was worse than league average, and the ERA was worse than league average when he was in the setup role. And this FIP has actually gotten better since we moved him into a middle relief / setup role, rather than being the 2 setups, because Evan Hollick is back, as you can see. He's been very good in 15 1/3, but unfortunately, his stamina is now down to a 25. It was a 30, so he is no longer able to be a stopper at 25. 30's already pushing it with stopper stamina. This is completely no-go stopper, so he's just a true one-inning guy at this point, which is unfortunate, but he's still been very effective with 6 holds and 6 shutdowns. So 4 meltdowns as well, but it's not really showing up in the numbers. And then you can see we also have Matt DeLeon. He was the one we called up to replace Dax Hardcastle in the rotation. 2 starts here, hasn't gone well, given up way too many home runs, which is what you would expect from a guy with 40 home runs allowed and an extreme fly ball archetype. So not really doing so well for him. He was pitching well in AAA, that's why I decided to give him the chance, but definitely going to be looking for another 6th guy, another starter to have in the rotation, as well as lefty relievers. We are on the lookout for those as the season goes along. And now taking a look on the other side of things with the bats, we'll sort by wins above replacement here. A lot of solid wins here on the season already. We got 5 guys with 2+ wins already. 2 of them with, I guess 3 if you want to round up with 2.5, but 2 of them with at least 3 wins if you round up Feliz here for sure. Jerry Harris, 3.2 wins as a hitter, a 151 WRC plus with 25 home runs. and 14 doubles here on the season, walking more than he's striking out. He's been fantastic. Like I said, he's on pace to potentially win a MVP for us this season, which would be phenomenal. And then behind Tim, Angel Feliz with a 2.9 wins above replacement, triple-digit WRC plus, 16 doubles, 11 home runs. He's doing his thing, 17 swipe bags as well, and still playing a really solid shortstop. That's 96th percentile fielding value. Fielding value. I thought I was looking at the base running value there for a second, but yeah, 6 ZR at shortstop. He's doing his thing. Love to see it from Feliz. Brady Ebel has actually taken up a real big step this season, a 134 WRC plus and 22 home runs, which is second on the team, hitting significantly more home runs than James Wood this season, which is pretty crazy for Brady Ebel. That power has finally filled in for him. He now has a 70 grade power. That's 70 against righties and even 60 against lefties. You can definitely expect him to hit less against lefties, but this season so far, still a 138 WRC plus and 100 plate appearances. So Brady Ebel, big step up for him this season. And then defensively, still pretty solid, or I should say back to being solid, because he was, for whatever reason, or at least for a good chunk of last year, he was a negative ZR player, but I guess figured it out towards the end of the season. And then this year, back to being a positive ZR player at first base. And then James Wood doing his thing, really solid 144 WRC plus, 21 doubles, but only 13 home runs. It looks like it's more doubles this season than homers for him, but driving in some runs, scoring runs, walking, getting on base. Unfortunately, the defense is not great for him, but overall, still a really, really good player, and he's another one of these guys that after the 2035 year is a free agent. So like I said, the team is probably going to look a lot different heading into 2035. Knowing my luck, that's probably when our owner is going to die too, and then he gets taken over by like his horrible son that's like a penny pincher or something. And then Luis Hernandez, 2 wins on the season for him so far as well. Mainly with the glove, it's around a league average bat, 17 doubles, 7 home runs. Not striking out a ton. He's doing his thing. He plays a really solid third base, doesn't strike out. He plays his role. He's a solid player to have, and we like Luis Hernandez. So moving things on to Harry Ford. Once again, around league average for him. 2 WAR season, 13 doubles. Not a home run guy, but, walking a ton, not striking out, stealing a decent amount of bags, and playing a solid catcher for us with a positive framing rating. As you can see here, 1.8 framing. He is 91st percentile in fielding run value, getting on base a ton. Love to see it. And then Dylan O'Ray doing his thing, being the lefty Harry Ford. 1.6 wins, 104 WRC plus, 18 doubles for him. Walking, not striking out, swiping bags. Not being a great defender, but whatever. Mike Sirota, big jump up for him on the offensive side with the home runs. He had some decent performances in the postseason for us the past couple seasons. And now, just all of a sudden, carrying it over here to the regular season here with 19 home runs, which is 3rd on the team right now, more than James Wood. And also still, actually not really playing a great center field. His center field is 51st percentile, 0.1 ZR. That's kind of worrying. So he's another one of these 2035 guys, but he might be a guy who kind of gets pushed out sooner than that if he's going to be somebody who isn't going to put up good ZRs in center field anymore, especially when we have somebody like this, Josh DiCastillo, who's been a real revelation for us since trading for him in the Zahir Hope trade this past offseason. He's been real solid in AAA. He is playing a really solid center field at the AAA level. His bat looks really, really solid if this stuff can fill in as well. So this guy definitely going to be knocking on the door trying to push Mike Sirota out of his job at center field. But then taking a look at the other players on the roster, Luke Corsia, been around a league average hitter, whatever. It's his first season in the big leagues. We're just hoping some of his stuff can fill in, and a lot of it is filling in here. So, I don't expect him to be a league average hitter for his whole career, but definitely, getting used to the big league level. I would hope that he's going to be really ready to rock and roll by the time we get around to the playoffs, and he's going to be a dynamo for us. In the same way that, I think it was Chris Aquino and, what was the other guy with the big power in the Angels series? Lesnar? I think it was the Chris Lesnar or something like that. Big-time power swing and miss guy that we had. I think we called them both up at the same time. They kind of went straight from AAA or AA to the big leagues, barely played in the big leagues, and then just, boom, arrived in the postseason. That's what I'm kind of hoping with Luke Corsia, is that he develops so much that by the time the postseason rolls around, that he is ready to rock and roll as like one of our premier hitters. And right now with the ratings, it looks like he is well on his way to being that. While Melvin Jimenez, as the backup catcher, has been doing his thing in limited time, Wilkin Tamariz is doing his thing in limited time. He's actually been quite solid for us, so we love to see that. Parker Picott was performing quite well, but unfortunately now is a little bit below league average with the WRC+, but still overall a very effective player, some really solid percentile rankings here. He's very much somebody we'd like to have on the squad. And then Ronnie Cruz really just has fallen into what I was scared that he would turn into after this 4-WAR season he put up in 2032, where he's just all glove, no bat. I mean, the bat is just not there for him at all anymore. The ratings were really never there with the bat, but, base running and fielding, he's a good player, but definitely more of a utility guy than he is anything else at this point in his career, which makes me glad we did not extend him to a long-term deal after this 4-win season in 2032. And then before we get into the first-year player draft here, I do want to mention that we have some dudes that we might be able to take some big swings with here at the deadline, because we've got some real depth in the system now and some real big-time prospects here that are like knocking on the door of the major leagues and don't look like they're really ever going to get a chance in the big leagues for us. Somebody like Josh Springer, who like Tamariz and some other guys are in front of him in the organizational depth chart. So Springer, definitely somebody we could look to trade here as a 60 potential guy and maybe pick up a really solid starter or like an elite reliever or just something that we need at the deadline. Check in on Dave Flores here. He's not somebody that we're going to try to trade, because even though we did pick up like Jimenez and the Caraballo guy who's having a good season in AAA this year as potential Harry Ford replacements, they're a little bit older, whereas Dave Flores, if we just kind of hold on to him in the minors for 2 seasons here, he'll be like 23, 24 by the time that Harry Ford is out of here. So like he could very well just be our starting catcher once Harry Ford leaves. So don't want to trade this guy. He actually has a path to playing time in the big leagues for us in the organization. Ramon Hiran, he might be a potential guy that we look to flip this trade deadline as a 60 potential guy who looks like he's 24, he's almost 25. He might be a guy who never really fills in, kind of similar to Josh Yorkin, where he's got this big time stamina profile and just a lot of stuff not filling in. He's up to a 45. He has had some improvements this year, but overall, we might look to possibly get him out of here depending on what opens up at the deadline. He's a maybe. He's not like a for sure going to look to shop. I should also mention that we have this guy Jay Nelson, who was a 2030 pick for us in the 14th round. He has developed very nicely, and he is currently in high A for us as looking like a potential real dominant stopper type guy with 35 stamina, the stuff, movement, fastball slider combo. I mean, elite stuff and movement with below average control. He could really be a dominant reliever for us, and we're hoping that he continues to develop right now in high A, dominating that level. Not so much with the O swing and the O contact, the average exit velo and the walk percentage, but the strikeout rate and the fastball velo. That is what you would expect from him with that mostly filled in here. I mean, the fastball could play at the big league level right now with this rating, but right now in high A, he might end up in double A for us soon here. But for now, he's going to keep dominating high A and see what happens with him. Like I mentioned with Caraballo, he's actually playing a decent amount of first base for us in AAA along with catching. But he's actually been pretty solid. Like I said, he is definitely somebody who's on the team as a potential big league catcher for us, either once Harry Ford leaves or as just a true third guy on the roster for us, but still having a solid season. We also managed to claim this very weird player from the Padres who was just too interesting for me not to claim. He's in AAA for us, so we do currently have 4 catchers on the 40-man roster, which is unfortunate. This guy is definitely the 4th of the bunch, despite him having 70 framing and 70 blocking. He's got a basically useless bat, except for 70 grade power. So, I mean, the guy can really get into things. He's never going to hit 40 home runs because he's never going to do it consistent enough to really be effective. I mean, a 25 avoid K, 40 BABIP, 35 power, and 40 I, that's just completely unplayable. It's just this power is so incredibly standout. He's a big-time, batting practice guy, you put him in the home run derby, puts on a show for everybody, and then also with that has elite catching skills. I mean, what an odd player. But then another player that we have who is a potential trade option for us this deadline is Miguel Fonseca, because as we know, Trey Ebel has solidified himself as a dude for us. So Trey Ebel, not Trey Ebel, Brady Ebel. We have Trey Ebel as well, I believe, in the minor leagues, but Brady Ebel at first base has solidified ourselves as a dude for us at first base, where Miguel Fonseca could be a dude for us at first base, but he's blocked by Brady Ebel, and he can't play DH because we have Jerry Harris on the team. So unless, like after this season, we do some like monumental trade Jerry Harris and get as much as we can for him because we're not going to extend him, sort of big time package, which seems kind of insane because there's like no way we're ever going to get enough to like get back equal value for Jerry Harris. But, unless we do something like that, Fonseca really doesn't have a path to play time in the big leagues for us, despite being a guy who looks like he would absolutely mash in the big leagues right now, especially with this eye. And that bat is so intriguing to get on the big league team. But looking like it's going to be more so of a trade deadline guy for us. So he's definitely somebody we're going to look to shop. Him and Josh Springer are really the main guys that we're going to look to possibly move around here at this deadline and potentially really upgrade our team for another World Series run here in 2034. But now it is time to dive into the 2034 first-year player draft. Obviously, we have the last pick of the draft because we won the World Series and we had the best record in baseball. So number 1 is the Philadelphia Phillies in our division. Looks like the Orioles went from 11 to 5. The Guardians have 2 top 7 picks because of compensation, where I guess they failed to sign their guy from last season. Let's jump into this. Number 1 overall to the Philadelphia Phillies is David Hopkins out of Wilmington University. I don't think that's UNC Wilmington. It's not. Wilmington and Newcastle, Delaware. Okay, 1-1 to the Philadelphia Phillies. R.R. Cool J, David Hopkins, left-handed pitcher. I mean, I probably wouldn't take a guy with that much control as the 1-1 guy, but, probably going to be good enough to outplay his control with this type of stuff and movement if that all fills in, plus these all 70 potential pitches that he has. That's pretty crazy repertoire there. All of them move, too. Slider, curve, change, sinker, cutter. Pretty nasty stuff there. He goes 1-1. We move things on to our selection, 32nd overall. And now we will take a look at who is available here at that spot. So we've got a high school closer who we're not going to take with this pick, a college starter named Bob Brandstetter out of Washington State. Go Cougs. High work ethic, big stamina, hold runners. But, nothing here really stands out, like 50 movement, 50 control. That's not really anything for me. Another college reliever, or a high school reliever, and then a college reliever behind him. Probably not going to take that. High school third baseman with shitty work ethic and personality. Really he's got gap power, but it's all power, but like no BABIP or I. And then we got a college reliever who just looks not good really at all. And then you're immediately down to the 45 potential guys. So, last pick of the first round, and it's basically nothing here for us really at all. Are there any like big-time defense guys? Not really in the outfield. There's no 70. There's no 70 in the infield as well. Yeah. What about catching framing? There's 65 guys, but they're both terrible. Not somebody you take at this point in the draft. Joe Moeller. I mean, yeah, no, we don't need a catcher. We have a ton of catchers in the system now. Not that you draft for need, but, there really is nothing here. 60 range, but nothing else in the outfield. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this guy, Dustin. Who does our scout think we should take? Josh Aycock, a college starter with like no stuff, no movement, no control, but high work ethic. I mean, let's look at college guys. I mean, it doesn't take long to get down to the 40 potential guys. So we've already looked at these 3. Brandstetter's the 50. Almonte, I mean, he stinks. Andy Atwood, 3 true outcomes. No positional home. Oh, also just from a deeply evil university. And there's that ACOC guy. Eric Bethea, completely useless. Matt Churchwell, completely useless. Josh Gorton, I mean, looks like he might be able to be a really good stopper type guy. He might be the best option here, honestly, so far. Already looked at Joe Mueller, Mark Holtzel. I mean, no real positional home. Maybe. Navarro, no. Sean O'Neill. I mean, some really good defensive ratings, but like the offense is just terrible. I mean, is he really going to be like our best option? I mean, just completely unusable control. Bobby Schaberg, good personality, but I mean, nothing too crazy. Troy Vincent, completely unplayable swing and miss. And then John Westbrook is the last 45, and he's terrible. So really, it's like Gorton's probably the best just because like his 55 movement and 55 control with 50 stuff and fastball slider could possibly be a really good stopper for us. I might just take Brandstetter and maybe we can get like a bump because he's a 50 and he's a starter potential. Where if you look at high school guys, who is that? Dustin McClellan here. Interesting enough profile with the gap, the bat, or no, it's actually more Void K than it is BABIP, but average power and I. But it's also high leader, loyalty, adaptability, work ethic, and then low greed. You want $7 million? Like $7 million for a 45 potential high schooler? Just go to San Jose State at this point, man. Yeah, I mean, none of this stuff is really intriguing at all. Maybe. I mean, no positional home for this guy, but we all know I love the gap power, speed guys. Adaptability, baseball IQ for him, so he's maybe moldable into like a high I guy to go with that, but I mean, not really useful. No. Switch hitter, bad personality. And then like the high school reliever. I mean, I do we take the 60 potential high school reliever? Like it seems like that might be our best option. Our scout thinks we should, yeah, pitcher is ACOC. If we go hitter, he thinks we should take Ryan Rosen. Yeah, fuck it. Switch, he's not the switch hitter. Never mind. He's a right-handed hitter, but I mean, he's got big-time power to where that could develop into something. And the outfield, it looks like he might be able to be like a really good right fielder. So yeah, let's take Ryan Rosen. Ooh, 8.5 million? What does Guerrero have? Guerrero's very cheap. Not that we're like trying to save money. Let's just take Rosen. The scout thinks we should take him if we want to go bat. Let's just take him. So that's our first round pick here. Move things on to round 2. And we are just immediately looking at really nothing here. Yeah. That one high schooler we were looking at is gone. The McClellan guy. We could take Sean O'Neill for his defense. I mean, that's really what we're looking at this point, is Sean O'Neill for his defense. Troy Vincent, maybe, because, I mean, the Void K just makes him completely useless, rather. Tim Tejada, maybe? Slap hitter with some gap power and eye, elite speed. Maybe we get a dev bump at some point with the outfield range. Durable. I mean, low leader adaptability, though, so the adaptability is going to work against his favor, trying to get that dev bump for the range. But this guy is like, he's not even a leader. Poor personality as a glove-first shortstop. Good personality, but nothing really outstanding for this guy. I don't know, maybe Mark Holtzel as a switch hitter, potential first baseman, high adaptability, work ethic. Because like none of these pitchers stand out to me as really anything. Yeah. I mean, adaptability baseball IQ on this guy, but nothing is looking good on him. Fuck it. Let's take Mark Holtzel. Round 2, move things on round 3. And, like, I don't know, Troy Vincent, maybe? Or the Sean O'Neill guy is here. Oh, Josh Gorton's still here. Let's take the college reliever, Mark Gorton. Then we move things on to round 4, and then Sean O'Neill is here. We take him. Alrighty, so now it's time to go over the rest of the draft class here. In round 5, we took a college reliever out of the University of Portland in Ken Engelberger, lefty. You know, looks like he maybe could be something someday. And then in round 6, we took Joey Crunk, lefty starter who's committed to ECU, no longer going to ECU, high work ethic guy. Then in round 7, Jim Ingalls, right-handed high school reliever out of a Massachusetts high school in Sandwich, East Sandwich, Massachusetts. Is that? Apparently, yes. Big time control on him, high work ethic, low greed. And then in round 8, Travis Sims, who has high loyalty, adaptability, work ethic. Round 9, you get the deal here. Leader, adaptability, work ethic, baseball IQ. Round 10, leader, loyalty, work ethic, baseball IQ. Round 11, leader, work ethic, Birmingham, adaptability, work ethic, baseball IQ. Ross DeCaro, leader, work ethic. Round 14, loyalty, work ethic. 15, adaptability, work ethic. 16, adaptability, work ethic. 17, leader, work ethic, IQ. 18, leader, work ethic. 19, baseball IQ, and then some crazy movement with nothing else. And then round 20, leader, adaptability, loyalty, low greed. 17 years old, durable.